along the way and so forth. And, then we use that for a race course forever and ever to get down to Coco's. And I think over the last 12 years, they've been slowly paving that. It's not completely paved yet. Thank goodness. I'm glad that it's taking them as long as it has. But one day there will be two ways to get that far south.
Yep. And it's not too far away, I don't think.
That's for sure.
You mentioned Coco. And again, there'll be a lot of people that listen to this that know who Coco from Coco's Corner is. But tell me about your recollection of. I mean, when did he first? Was he there when you first started going through that area, or did he show up after you went through that? Every time since a kid, I was a kid, he's been there, at least that I can remember. And what we're referring to is the area south of why am I drawing a blank right now? Gonzaga Bay. Coco's Corner is this junction where you can either turn west and head out to Highway 1 or keep going south to San Francisco. And how would you describe Coco's Corner? And then tell me what you know about Coco, because I don't know the whole bunch about Coco.
Okay. Well, Coco's Corner has become famous, and he's made it famous. And from as near as I can tell, my first few times down there, no, he was not there. I don't know what possessed him to do this, but he originally lived in Ensenada, and he got tired of the city life. And I don't know if he had relatives down there or what, but he ended up claiming a piece of land that was, by way of what we called the race course, but was actually, a dirt road that went down. And it was an intersection. And if you went, to the east, you were going to go out towards Calama Way. And if you continued southwest, you were going to get out to Laguna Chapala and then Highway 1. And he chose that place to kind of camp out. There was nothing there really. He shows up there, claims the land, and puts up a little building and starts selling soda pops and beers to anybody that was coming by. At that time, he spoke, I don't think, any English, although over the years he's picked up some English. But he built a couple huts, kind of decorated it his own way, and it became a place for people passing through, explorers, racers, locals that were traveling from one point to another to stop in and get something to drink, whether it be a soda or a beer.
It's interesting. You got to wonder if there's no shortage of places like that on the Baja Peninsula. I know that there's I can't remember the name of it or even the exact location, but up in the Pine Forest, there's a junction up there, kind of by El Rayo, I think, that is like the moto outpost outside of Laguna Hansen, where you can get burritos and fuel for a bike. I know there's so many. Mike Sky Ranch, which is now really much more iconic and bigger than just a little junction. But it's interesting how there are these weird places in the middle of nowhere in Baja that have these iconic figures that they're iconic just from the standpoint of that they've done something crazy and gone into the middle of nowhere like that. You got to wonder, and I believe there must be similar people with similar intentions in Africa and South America, and I have traveled in some of those places, but not enough to really become familiar with those people. But it is interesting how there are places like that in Baja where there's just fascinating characters in these places. Pancho at San Rafael was another one.
Yeah.
There's.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, where are some of the other ones? Because I know they exist. There's definitely some very interesting people that live in the middle of nowhere that have become famous in their own right, at least in Baja folklore.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting? There's a couple things that's really interesting about Coco. One is, he has guest books that as people have traveled down there and stop in, you can sign his guest book and write a little story or whatever. And I mean, these books go back, I don't know, he's probably been there just under 30 years now.
Yeah.
So, that's something that's pretty interesting. But another thing that, and I can't figure this one out, Ryan, maybe but as they build this road down past his place and out to Highway 1 to connect it, they're building it on the back side of his property.
Yeah.
So the old road goes right through the front side of his property, and he's been happy to have people stop, and it's been his little business and his little livelihood for the past 25 years or more. Well, once the road's done, it'll go through the back side of his property. And last time I was in there, I asked him if he was going to move his little business to the backside of his property, and he said no, he was not. And I haven't figured out if it's because he's tired of the people passing through now, or if he feels enough people know about him, they'll go out of their way to come to his place. But I think as he gets up in age, seeing people come by isn't as exciting for him as it once was.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree with you in there. And I will say that the many attributes of at least the cholleros, the people from Baja, what they definitely do not lack resourcefulness. And if Coco, if he gets to the point where he's got to figure out how to keep buying food and putting clothes on his body, he'll do whatever it takes, and maybe it will be a move. Who knows? I think it's interesting. I had a guy who worked for me, Andres Alonso. If you're listening, I love you. He was and is an interesting guy who at a very early age, that's I guess where I'm going with this, is that so many Mexicans are entrepreneurs. So many people from Baja are entrepreneurs. Andres, as a young boy, would go into the trash and get the little tamarindo candy dispensing things. He had a tamarindo tree in his backyard. And he shared this story with me about his first entrepreneurial venture when he was 7 or 8 years old. He would pick the tamarindo fruit, boil it in his kitchen, and turn the fruit into the gel or the mush that they make the candy out of, and then refill these little squeezing dispenser things, and sell them at school. And that, to me, just embodies so much of what the Mexican culture is like, because Mexicans are entrepreneurs. They're resourceful. And Coco will find a way. I agree with you. It appears as if he's maybe getting tired of the people coming through. But at the end of the day, he's got to figure out how to keep himself alive, or he'll pass away like Pancho. And, that we've all got our time. And it's sad that Pancho died. But I can't think of a better place for him to have well, although I don't think he did die on his property. But he spent a great life there. If anybody that's listening to this knows where we're talking about, south of Bay of LA, just a beautiful beach that he chose to go and live there in a very, very modest lean-to structure, but had friends that I mean, you could say thousands of friends that knew he was there, that would stop by and bring him food, say hello, hang out with him, share a beer. It was always a fun thing to do as I went south or north even, to go in and say hi to Pancho. And Coco will be the same. He will live as long as he's supposed to live, and he'll figure out how to make it happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Frank, we're coming up on the hour mark here, and I'm glad that I mean, we could have easily gone into all kinds of stories about, I mean, deep stories about racing and race car drivers and tires and all the things that most people know you for. I'm glad that we've steered a little bit to the right or the left here and talked about some other stuff because, again, for me, my life is so enhanced and so enriched through the time that I've spent living, working, and playing in Baja. And like I said at the beginning of this, I can definitely say that if Baja didn't exist, you and I wouldn't be friends. And again, those of you that don't know, not only was Frank the source of support from BF Goodrich when I was a race car driver, but he's also been a valued colleague at the place that I've been working for the last 5 years, Jackson Motorsports Group, and I've really enjoyed that time getting to work with you and share life as a professional with you. Who would have ever thought? But so anyways, I do have one final question for you, and it's a question that I try to ask everybody that's on the show, and I want you to think about it before a knee-jerk reaction. The best taco on the peninsula, and you're well-suited to answer this, where is it?
Wow. Ryan, that's really tough because, as you know, there's a lot of great tacos on the peninsula.
Can't argue with you there. And you know what? There doesn't have to be the best one. Where's a good one? Where's a favorite place to eat? And it doesn't. You may not even like tacos. I don't know. I'm going to assume you do, but.
Oh, I love tacos. My favorite local taco stand to Ensenada is probably El Poblano's, and that's just before you get to Estero Beach.
Yep.
Really, really, really enjoy it. And then in La Paz, I believe they have a restaurant downtown now, but I'd rather go to their place outside of town. I believe it's called Rancho Viejo, and that is also one of my all-time favorites. However, there is one in La Paz that I don't know that it has a name. It is a cart, and I always tell people never eat tacos from a taco stand that has wheels. But this one has wheels. It is an older gentleman that sets up just outside of La Paz, and he is only open from, I'm going to say, around 11 in the morning until about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and he makes fish tacos, and it's fresh fish caught that morning that they deliver to him, and he makes tacos until he's out of fish, and then he closes down and goes home. And anybody that likes fish tacos, that's got to be my pick.
So I'm going to disclose to you the reason for asking this question, because everybody struggles with the name of the place that their favorite taco's at, because they typically aren't looking at the sign if there is a sign, or they're not asking the chef what the name of their place is. So it's kind of a trick question in that it's tough to say where this place is if it's your favorite place. But the point of it is that there is no shortage of good food in Baja. And the encouragement is we give you just enough information of a location or a type or a name or whatever or a landmark. We encourage anybody that's listening to go explore Baja and search for the best taco. And I do share mine almost every single time. And I don't know if you've ever eaten there, Frank. It's Lalo's Taco at the top of La Rumorosa Grade. And the taco that I love there is Taco Al Vapor, which is a steam taco. And I keep saying this. I plug them on almost every single show. It is an amazing taco. It's a truck stop. Do you know where I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that. In fact, yes, you've mentioned that to us a few times.
One of these days I'm going to take you there, and maybe one of these days I'll get them to sponsor the podcast. But highly recommend it, and that one's easy to find, top of La Rumorosa Grade. But if you don't go there, go to Baja, spend time, get to know the people, and explore the good food, or taste and try the good food, because it's out there. Well, Frank, super excited to be able to put this show on the books with you. Crazy to think that I can say I've known you as long as I have, and how funny or how cool is it that we get to go full circle and get to record a conversation like this that, you know what, if people listen to it, great. If not, I don't care. I've got it. I won't ever lose it. And it's just a memento in time that I share with you. So thank you for your time. Any last words regarding our beloved